Juan Soto hates playing in the cold weather.
Hell, he did it last year with the Yankees.
I know, but he was just so bundled up out there. He got the hood up, the whole thing. And, it's actually nice that they're winning, and he really hasn't gotten going. I know he's been on base a lot, and people don't want to pay him, $765 million to walk. But as long as he gets on base and Lindor gets on base, Pete Alonso should have a great year. And that's something that we saw from Aaron Judge last year. So it's all happening the right way. It's just not happening as consistently and as quickly and as volatile as people were hoping for. But don't worry about it. He'll be fine. He'll come around. The weather will get warm. Next thing you know, he'll be raking all over the field. And the fact of the matter is the Mets are still winning, even though this was his first home run in April.
Yeah, I'm not going to dissect his individual performance and get upset with it when the Mets are winning. Now, if the record was flipped and they were 6 games under 500 and he wasn't doing anything, that would be a problem. But they're winning, and also Pete Alonso is having one of the best starts to a season he's ever had. And that certainly has a lot to do with Juan Soto and his history and how teams pitch to Juan Soto and don't want to pitch to Juan Soto. So, it felt like he needed it. Gary, Keith said it was one of those things that it felt like a monkey got off his back with that home run, and we'll see if that's maybe the catalyst where he does a little bit better here offensively. But it's also, this Twins team, they better sweep this Twins team. They stink. God, they are bad. They've got pitchers throwing the ball all over the place. They've got like 7 errors from pitchers throwing to first base, and 2 of them happened last night. They stink. They're just a really, really bad team. So I don't blame the fine people out there in Minnesota not going to those games in the freezing cold when they got a team that sucks. But the Mets better go in there like a tornado and just whip them around and then come back and have a even better record.
Is it weird that the football team plays indoors and the baseball team plays outdoors?
Yeah, it is.
Especially given, March and April out there in Minnesota is probably a lot like November.
Yeah, I was shocked when they built that stadium outdoors. I could not believe it. And I always wanted the Vikings to play outside again. I love that because I always feel like some of those dome teams can be, soft on the road in the playoffs, so they got to go into a place like Philadelphia or Green Bay or something like that. But
now, I will also say that this is the soft underbelly of the Mets schedule.
Certainly.
So when you think about the Twins, the Athletics, the Marlins, they've played 6 times. These are games that they need to win, and they should win.
That's what Ronnie told us when we had him on opening day.
Underbelly.
He said that if you look at their schedule early, they should be able to stack some wins. They're doing exactly that. They got to take the next 2 games of this series against that team. You can't lose. And Clay Holmes, he had struggled a little bit in the 5th, but that was his best start by far that he's had. And you just see a little bit more from him every single start, which makes sense as he makes his transition to be a starter. But when he is on, like he's on, he strikes out a lot of guys. He ends up getting the ground balls when they make contact. And that's so far, so good with Clay Holmes. It was a little shaky in the beginning, but and I know this team stinks. I get it. He's not, facing the Philadelphia Phillies, but he did exactly what he needed to do last night. And to see that swing and miss stuff that he's got is encouraging for sure.
Yeah, well, that's the pitching lab for you.
Pitching lab.
Mets got a pitching lab. So they threw him in there and said, let's see what you got.
Yeah.
And they actually identified him as a starter. Mm-hmm. So far, so good. And after, what Senga did the day before, things are okay. I'm not going to get crazy and start beating the drum that they're going to the World Series for sure.
No. Can't do that.
They're playing. But
Can't do that.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, just keep winning series. That's what I want you to do. And that's all I can ask for. And they're getting production throughout the lineup. I know it's not great, but you know what? Luis Acuna Jr. should be the second baseman. Just leave him out there.
Yeah.
Leave him out there for defensive purposes. Leave him out there. He's starting to hit now a little bit. And, this whole thing with Beatty at third base and Vientos at DH, I don't mind any of that. And especially if they want to keep Beatty up here. But Acuna should be the second baseman. Again, last night in the middle of things, he's starting to, become an offensive production, and this is what they expected from him. And maybe the more he gets comfortable, the better he's going to be. So he needs to play.
Yeah, and I've been an advocate of that. That's why I was shocked that Jeff McNeil came back they were saying how, oh, you know what, we don't want to bring Iglesias back because we want to give these young guys an opportunity. But then it's like Jeff McNeil is still here. I mean, the upside for Jeff McNeil, we know, is someone who a few years ago won a batting title, but it wasn't like he was lighting the world on fire.
You know what it is?
The upside for Acuna is much greater than Jeff McNeil.
It's depth.
Depth.
That's depth.
Depth.
We found that out. We found that out last night
from Anthony Gallo.
Yeah, the Mets got depth.
By the way, he you know, it's like catch a stray or subtweet, like those things where people
subtweet.
Like, you remember that back in the day was a subtweet was basically you knew that person was talking about a particular person, but they didn't name them.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? And he did that with you this morning. I didn't appreciate it.
He did that with me.
Yeah, didn't appreciate it.
All right. We'll have to talk to Antifa Anthony later on.
Antifa Anthony.
Have a little conversation with him.
Guy doesn't have a lot of depth.
They have depth. That's it. The Yankees don't have depth.
Don't have depth.
See, but the Mets do have depth.
They do have depth. Yeah, he was talking about
deft or deaf.
He goes deft, I think.
You hear a T.
They have depth. That's it. The Yankees don't have depth.
Deft.
I hear deaf.
If you listen really closely, deft.
They have depth. That's it. The Yankees don't have depth.
Deft. Eddie, what do you hear?
I hear the T in the first one, not the second.
That the first one I hear it, the second one I don't hear it.
Okay, I hear it in both, but I'll accept that. So what he was talking about was the Knicks as he's filling in for Chris McMonagle driving in, and he said that the people who hate on Carmelo in his time here, that's an old man take. That's what he said.
Oh yeah, that was a shot at me.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. So hey, congratulations to Carmelo going into the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame. That's great. That's awesome. He really, and I don't, again, like I said this earlier too, this is my other old man take, is that it was so unsettling when he was a Knick. And the direction of the franchise was such a disaster that I don't, maybe only one other superstar could come in here, maybe two. Maybe Kobe or Michael Jordan could have come in here and dealt with the nonsense that he had to deal with. So there's no question that had an effect on him, and I don't think that he even, well, I know he realizes that, but what it does to you as a player, it makes you think like you got to do everything. And he never, I don't necessarily know that he ever made his teammates better, is what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, you want to say it's an old man take, but it's also a young Knick fan take that he was some sort of special player here. I mean, and it's really easy to explain. There are people that are your age that saw championships. There's guys that are my age, didn't see championships, but grew up with the 90s Knicks. Then there's guys that are Antifa Anthony's age who weren't old enough to watch the 90s Knicks, clearly weren't alive for the championships, that had to deal with all the nonsense of guys like Eddie Curry and Mike Sweetney and Jerome James and Steve Francis and Stephon Marbury and on and on and on.
Right, yeah, and Carmelo was in the middle of that.
And then Carmelo comes, and it's like, okay, they feel legitimate for the first time in my lifetime, and they're making the playoffs and yada, 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 and Amari Stoudemire and Carmelo for those guys were special. But
the amazing thing was, if you remember, when the Knicks signed Amari Stoudemire, Phoenix wanted to keep him, but they only offered him 2 years because they knew that he only had 2 years left on those knees.
Microfracture surgery.
Yes.
Yep.
But the Knicks were so desperate to get somebody that had a name that they had to go more than that. And to Amari's credit, he tried. And then they brought in Carmelo, and all of a sudden he became like the second fiddle. Yeah. And it just wasn't going to work. And again, it was just the mismanagement of the organization that ends up putting people together that don't play well together. And, they give everything to Carmelo that he wants. Like there was no Jordan-esque leadership. That's basically what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, I think that it's not so much like a old man take or it's just a generation of what Knick fans saw what.
Well, he's been hit over the head with the idiot stick for so long.
Yeah.
As a Knick fan, anything that was going to give him any sort of positivity, he was gonna grab onto.
Yeah, and there's a whole generation of that. There's a whole generation of bing bongers who absolutely love the Carmelo era. So, and that team I never thought
They had never had a chance.
Never had a chance.
Not even close.
Now, I don't want to feel like that about this team.
And how about the way they treated Jeremy Lin?
Yeah, that was rough.
Another disgrace.
Yeah, that was not a team first moment for Carmelo or anybody. But and that's the thing I fear a little bit about this team going into the playoffs is that if they run into the Celtics and they lose in 4 or 5 in the second round, are we going to be thinking about this team and Karl Anthony Towns and like we thought about the Carmelo teams against the LeBron teams? And that's what I don't want to feel.
Hey, look, I think that in this particular series against the Detroit Pistons, the Knicks have the 2 best players and maybe the 3 best players on the court.
Well, Cade Cunningham's pretty good, man.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying he's not.
He's probably the 3rd best player on the court.
He's not Jalen Brunson. He's not Karl Anthony Towns. And he's not OG Anunoby.
Yeah,
when OG Anunoby is going, he's as good as there is in terms of a full court player.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love OG. It's a little debatable. Cade Cunningham is he's really special, and he's got a huge future ahead. He's going to be one of those like top 3 or 4 players in the league if he keeps this type of trajectory up.
You mean he's going to come play for the Knicks when he's 36? Is that what you're saying?
Hey, those days are over, man. Now they get these superstars in their prime, but maybe they're not good enough. And it's for the people that didn't like the Karl Anthony Towns trade because we were getting rid of grit and bringing in a guy who had a reputation of not finishing and maybe a little bit. I mean, it's not because if you watch him, he's not exactly like some wuss out there. It's not that. It's just that, maybe that championship gene isn't in him. But, I mean, the people that didn't like that trade, that's kind of playing out that way right now. But they haven't played in the playoffs yet.
51 wins.
I mean, yeah, but you know what I'm talking about.
Well, now this is where what they say, the rubber meets the road, gene.
Well, I mean, they don't beat good teams. They don't play defense. I mean, we all know.
Well, they need to get that fixed. Like, you heard Coach Tibbs say that.
Okay, well.
He said we got to get the stuff fixed.
Yeah. Are you sick? Is that what this is? Is this a
no,
sickness?
I don't know what. No, it's not a sickness.
All right.
I don't know what it is.
See, but you were in Vegas. You were flying.
Yeah.
You definitely picked up some germs, right?
Possibly.
Yeah.
It just could have been the dryness.
The dryness? But you sounded fine yesterday.
It was a dry heat out there in Vegas.
I think you were.
And then when you get on an airplane, that's kind of dry.
I think you were in an incubation period yesterday.
You think so?
Definitely incubation spot.
Yeah, incubation spot for sure. Now it's coming out of you. So I could see a little glassy eye thing going too.
Yeah, I was up watching the Rangers, the Knicks. I mean, the Mets and the Yankees. So the little glassy eyed spot is what was that? The Rangers just coming back from a 2-goal deficit. When did that happen?
Yeah,
that never happened until last night. Actually played their best game last night. Keep Matt Rempe in the freaking lineup. The guy can play hockey.
Are you going to the Islander game tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Could be Matt's last game, so I want to show up, support.
Do you put a 17 jersey on?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I've got one for you if you need it.
So under the weather, that's a burning the candle at both ends spot.
Why don't you just clam up, all right? I'll be ready to rock and roll. Just relax.
Wow. Yeah, all right.
And by the way, you two, we have to have a meeting after the show today.
After the podcast.
Yeah. No, not after the podcast, before the podcast, because I don't want to stay and wait for the podcast.
What happened?
All right, well, Allie came to me and complained. And I know that you know what I'm going to bring up here.
Oh, actually, this is a positive thing. I thought you were going to be thanking me and Eddie.
No, because you haven't done anything. When was the last time that Bob Dwyer was here? What was his last day at work?
A couple years ago.
No, 4 years.
4 years ago.
Prior to it was prior to COVID, right?
Yeah.
No.
Was he a part of the team when we were in COVID? And then when we came out of COVID,
he was.
Whatever happened to Bob Dwyer?
Yeah.
Yes, he was there with COVID because if you remember during the Boomer Cooks segments, he was there. Actually, he was very funny with his one-liners. So it's when everybody started coming back to work that he ended up he was working from home a little too much.
So he worked back in the show office, which is where you two guys have your office.
Correct.
And nothing has been moved from where he sits. I mean, there is like stuff in there.
Actually, things have been added somehow.
All right. So
yeah, some books have been added. And I packed up some of the things that he asked me to pack up and sent them to him.
Right. So for all these years, Allie's been doing our makeup, and she's had to do it in a makeup Like she just had to make up an area special for us.
A makeshift makeup area.
Yeah, makeshift. That's it. That's the word. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And so she came to me and she goes, I went to Al and Eddie, and I want to make that back there the makeup area for everybody, and I want to do a professional job. I want to set it up because I'm a professional and you guys are stars. And then when I said, I totally get that. I totally understand that. How come that hasn't been done?
Well, that came up yesterday, and it is in motion. I went to the proper authorities. I said we need to clear out all those old computers. I will throw out all the garbage. And so her Big
you've just been
Hurls is on
sitting
it.
back there for 4 years with that crap building up.
I did notice the other day. I was like, boy, there's a lot of stuff over here.
Why don't I just, like in the break, I'm just going to go back there and I'm going to throw it out in the hallway.
You've said this like 15 times over the last 3 years, and you haven't done it. So you got to follow through.
What we need is one of those portable dumpsters. If we had a portable dumpster, I would throw everything there.
We'll call Maggio. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll call Maggio.
We got a garbage guy we can call.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know about you guys leaving the building. There's like 15 garbage trucks out here every single day.
By the way, out by the loading dock, they have those
Dumpsters.
Yeah, those movable dumpsters with the wheels.
Why don't you go down and get one, Al?
They're filled with all like dusty stuff.
Yeah, but no, they're empty right now.
Right now, they're empty. You can go
Just
get
go grab
yourself
one.
one.
This is New York City. Everything's a labor union. I can't touch nothing.
You don't want to touch anything. That's the problem. You
Hell
can
yeah.
go down there and you can go grab yourself a
No,
dumpster.
there'd be a big rat in front of this building. Inflatable.
That is true. There have been rats in front of this building.
Yeah. And it's got like that gross belly on it, too. It's like a real infected rat. They really go all out with that blow-up rat.
They do, yes.
So why were you getting on him? Did they tell Allie no or something?
Well, they haven't done anything. I haven't
This
noticed.
happened yesterday.
This has been going on for 3 years.
I will
No,
say
it
though,
hasn't.
normally I sit on something. When we decided this yesterday, I said I'm going to immediately get things in motion in case this gets asked.
Because there's some equipment in there which may be still.
For what? For
They've-
World War II broadcasts?
They started using that desk as almost like a dumping ground for old monitors. Really weird.
It's ridiculous. You need to take a picture of that,
All right.
and you need to put it out there and just show how unprofessional you two guys are.
And there's some setup there which occasionally Cap will come in and look at, but I don't know exactly what it's for. Used to be the old TriCaster system.
What? What are we doing?
I
Just get
told
it out.
Allie this. That's got to be like a classic. There's going to be a big mirror with all those light bulbs around it.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
can really see yourselves in it.
Yeah,
Well,
she's got to
that's-
start doing hair now, too. Sick of doing my own hair.
And we need a professional chair in there.
Just tired of this, man. I'm getting old. I don't want to be doing my own hair.
Dude,
Come
you're
on,
right.
Allie, step it up, huh?
Guys coming in with like hat head.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
too much now, Allie. I
But
mean,
it's not her fault. It's these guys' fault. They're just not supporting her.
Wait, hold on.
She's a professional.
This happened yesterday and it's in motion.
Yeah, but
and
I could tell that she's annoyed. She's very annoyed.
I already gave her an update today.
and we're in full support of it.
yeah, annoyed. I mean, we were annoyed when she didn't show up till 8 o'clock last week when
Well,
you
that's a
weren't
whole
here.
other story. I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
That's part of it. She's usually pretty professional in that regard.
Usually. But then-
Usually, almost all the time.
This is not a good time for her to be complaining about other people, though, is what I'm saying. You got to get some space out of that. You show up at 8 o'clock, you're 2 hours late, and then like the next week you're complaining about other people. Not a good look.
Well, I think what she's trying to do is deflect.
It's exactly what it
It's
is.
like she's standing in front of the net and she's deflecting the puck. So she's like, let's not talk about my lateness. Let's talk about Al and Eddie not getting their job done and cleaning up their office.
Yeah, take the heat off of me. Now it's on them. And you know what? She succeeded because here you are.
Yeah, because I didn't know any of this stuff. And but by the way, I support. This is a woman who wants to be treated professionally around here, and I think that it's about time that you start treating her professionally.
What? No one gets treated more professionally than Al. You kidding me? You said Big Hurls is on this?
Yeah, and in fact,
Jesus.
during this conversation, he forwarded me an email from engineering. They are on it. They're going to start removing electronics.
Big Hurls is good with that stuff. He likes to get stuff done quickly. He doesn't like things sitting around.
Good, I like it. He's a Long Islander, and that's the way we act. We don't want
Yeah.
to sit around waiting for crap to get done. We want it done.
Like you send an email about something, he's right there with you.
All right.
Bang.
Okay, good.
He's like Big Hurls
That's
on
what
the job.
That's what the brand ambassador should be doing.
Yeah. Did he use his regular email? Did he use his Big Hurls at Gmail? email?
But I believe this is his professional email.
Okay. Yeah, he's got
Yeah, professional one.
he's got a Big Hurls 69 at Gmail. that he uses, maybe for when he signs up for OnlyFans.